Hello, this is Natasha Castellan and welcome to the Artist Chat Room. Now last week I did a tonal study in Prussian blue and white of a coloured landscape, and this week I am going to do the same landscape, but instead of using paint I'm using a water-soluble watercolour pencil in sepia and brown tones. I just realised I've just got some all over me. I have it finished here in front of me and I leaned against it. Not a good idea. Anyway, when I finished doing it in pencil, I then went in with a brown pastel to increase the tonal difference in the dark areas, because I realized that it wasn't that extreme dark and to light wasn't quite there. But I wanted to show you how you can do it in paint, you can do it in pencil, you can do it in any medium, and I wanted to use the same image so that you can see the difference. Again, as my usual, fast and furious, it is very loose, very gestural, and it's not about a perfect landscape drawing. It's about capturing the tonal variation to increase my ability to see tone in nature, so that when I'm in the landscape and I have more time or I'm putting a longer effort into it, I can get the tonal right, because we know that tone is vital in our artwork. So let's turn this around and get going. So there's the work from last week, and here's my piece, my printout. I'm going to move this over a little bit so you kind of can see both the printout and my sheet of paper. And I will be using an Albert Dürer Faber-Castell watercolor brown, walnut brown watercolor pencil, and this is a great way. So again, just like last week, I'm going to start with those darker areas. Now this sketchbook, I forgot to tell you last week what kind of a sketchbook. It's a sketchbook that is actually a very cheap sketchbook. I do a lot of painting in here. And I have to actually gesso most of the paper if I'm going to do anything with paint, because it's not the best. And this is the raw page, and it's not my favorite thing to work in, but here we go. This is going to be interesting because, unlike last week where I had some whites, this time I'm just going to have to leave the paper to read white. So here we go. This is, I called it a contour drawing at the beginning, but it's more of a contour sketch thingy. So professional. Got to get some of these different tones in. And so now I'm over here and we've got some different kind of tones. And I'm not going to be able to capture the same as before where I can layer light over dark, because it is just with pencil. So, and here we've got some rocks. See, some things are better with the pencil and other things are just better with the paint. So I'm actually going to draw this in because it'll help me. Now this is some of that grassy bit here. But then here I've got this really dark area, and it's really important to capture some of those dark areas as well. Well, not as well. It is important to capture some of those dark areas. Oh, sorry, I just bumped the phone. Yes, I'm filming off my phone. I find that to be my go-to way of doing it. I'm very familiar with it. I did buy myself ages ago a really good camera, and well, what I thought was a good camera, and then I really struggled for a long time with it. And I thought, you know, work with what you feel the most comfortable with. And who knows, down the track I may change that. So I'm gone. I can see these darker bits here, and then here it's much, not, when I say much darker, it is darker. It's not black, but it is darker than this area here. But I do need to get this super dark area so I can capture some of this in between tonal bits. But then I've got some bits here that aren't so. Now this tree I didn't capture last time, so I'm going to put some of the trees in a little bit better. Again, I went too high, just like last time. I'm not going to be able to get these light bits in, but I can get some of these darker. And because this is a watercolor pencil, I will be able to get the water to help me. Let's see what I can do with that water now. I'll start with these darker areas that I want dark. And see, this today I've got a combination of line and tone, and this makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit different to last week where it was just mainly tone. Pick up my water, get this dark, some of these darker areas. Now remember I said I won't be able to get the lights in, so let's get it more you can see that this paper isn't the best paper to be working on, but just because you don't have the best sketchbook, it doesn't mean that you can't create some interesting works. I am actually really liking what's happening here. I may actually come back with just some white. Oh, these go in this direction. I've over wet my brush. And this area down here needs to be much, much darker, as you can see, and even in here. And there's some kind of areas here that are quite dark too. Now I want to give the illusion that there's lightness hitting up there without picking it all up. There's the two. Now that has taken me not very long. I don't think I will come back in with a white. I feel like there's just something really nice about this. I might hit it with a hairdresser with the hairdryer and see what I can do with it. Okay, I've hit this with the hairdryer, and now I would say the biggest thing that I could do now for this, if I wanted to actually make it feel a little bit more refined or a little bit more finished, is actually give it bring those lines back in. Make those areas that, because the watercolor on this paper, it really wasn't the best paper to be drawing on, but I wanted to have these on in the same book, so you can kind of see them next to each other and see different ways that you can actually do some great warm-ups in your sketchbook. And as I said, this isn't the best paper, but you can work around that yourself. If I used a proper watercolor sketchbook, this would have turned out quite different. But I'm kind of really liking the looseness, and I feel like you can see, can you see that? It's the one landscape drawn in different ways. I could have had a little bit more white here, but it is a little bit darker in that corner. That's two ways. One, using a pencil, line and some water to create both tone and gesture and movement. This one is just with paint and a brush. There it is. Another view. I actually did come in with some pastel to get the darks even darker. So I hope you found this helpful about how to create a gestural work, how to improve in your art practice. These both, last week's and this week's, are quite quick and easy-ish exercises that you can do. You don't have to print your work off. I just wanted to print it off so you can see it next to each other. You can print off, or you can just call up in images. If you don't have any amazing landscape photos on your camera roll, then go to Unsplash. There'll be some free images. You can have a look there, and you can do the same thing with portraits, with still lifes, with anything, seascapes, animals, babies, bugs, whatever you want to do. Improve your tonal visual perception, improve your line and your movement, and your artwork will grow. I hope you enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this exercise, give it a thumbs up and do consider subscribing. I'd appreciate that. And I'll see you next week in the Artist Chat Room. Bye now.